First Contact and Misconceptions. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Confederation fell silent as Admiral Vexlor glided to the central platform. His translucent skin shimmered under the ambient light, 6 tendrils waving methodically as he addressed the gathered representatives of 17 spacefaring civilizations. Esteemed council members, Vexlor's voice resonated through the chamber's perfect acoustics. Our patrol fleet has discovered something rather quaint. The holographic display at the center of the room flared to life, projecting a rotating image of a ship, if one could even call it that. The vessel was angular, built with obvious welds and seams, its hull pockmarked with what appeared to be hasty repairs and outdated propulsion systems. Compared to the elegant biomechanical vessels of the Confederation, it looked like a primitive relic. This vessel was discovered drifting through the Orion expanse, powered down and seemingly abandoned, continued Vexlor, his upper tendrils twitching with barely concealed amusement. Our analysis confirms it is of human origin. A ripple of laughter spread through the chamber. Humans were the newest species to achieve faster-than-light travel, barely 2 centuries into space exploration, when the Confederation had been traversing the stars for millennia. Their technology was considered rudimentary at best, dangerous and inefficient at worst. I propose we dispatch a salvage team to claim any usable materials, Vexlor continued. Perhaps we might add it to our Museum of Emerging Civilizations, a fine example of primitive ingenuity. At the far end of the chamber, Science Director Ketra rose from her seat. Unlike the others, she did not laugh. Her species, the Andorans, were known for their caution and analytical minds. Admiral, with respect, I suggest we proceed with caution. Ketra's voice was measured, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she studied the hologram. Our deep scans detect unusual energy signatures, nothing we can identify with certainty. Vexlor's skin briefly flashed purple, a sign of dismissal among his kind. Director Ketra always sees mysteries where there are none. What could humans possibly create that would confound our sensors? Their most advanced drives operate at 1/10 the efficiency of our oldest vessels. More laughter echoed through the chamber. The Confederation had maintained galactic supremacy for over 12,000 years. They had defeated the Hive Collective, survived the quantum plagues, and brought order to hundreds of star systems. Humans were just another young species they would eventually guide into the proper order of things. I have already dispatched a salvage team, Admiral Vexlor announced with finality. They should be boarding the vessel within the hour. The Confederation salvage vessel Reclaimer attached itself to the hull of the human ship with precision. 6 specialists prepared their equipment, checking their atmosphere suits one final time before the mission. Remember, this is a simple salvage operation, said Team Leader Zenith, her tendrils wrapped tightly against her body in the confines of her suit. We retrieve any valuable technology, download their data cores, and assess the structural integrity. Standard procedure. The team acknowledged with practiced efficiency. They had performed dozens of such missions, recovering abandoned vessels throughout Confederation space. This would be routine work. When they breached the airlock, they were surprised to find the atmosphere inside still breathable, though cold. Emergency lights cast a dim blue glow through narrow corridors designed for the smaller human forms. Primitive, muttered tech specialist Mori, running his scanner along the walls. They still used physical interfaces and manual override systems. How inefficient. The team moved deeper into the ship, their lights illuminating a vessel that seemed curiously intact for an abandoned craft. There were no signs of catastrophic failure, no evidence of the crew's fate. This ship is called Artemis, said cultural specialist Dax, translating the human script on a wall panel. Based on design specifications, it's approximately 80 Earth years old. They reached what appeared to be the command center, a chaotic array of screens, buttons, and manual control systems that looked archaic compared to the neural interfaces of Confederation vessels. Begin the data extraction, Zenith ordered. Let's see what they were doing out here, so far from their territory. Maury connected his advanced interface to the human computer system. As the download began, something unexpected happened. The ship's lights suddenly brightened, and a low hum vibrated through the deck plates beneath them. "What did you do?" Zenith demanded, tendrils flaring in alarm. "Nothing irregular," Maury insisted, checking his equipment. Dr. Samira Khan, the medical officer, was the first to fully recover, immediately checking the vitals of the others. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, despite nearly 4 decades of inactivity. "Everyone's stable," she reported. The stasis systems worked perfectly. Chief Engineer Marcus Chen moved to a nearby console, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Ship systems at 92% capacity. Not bad for being asleep this long." Security Officer James Washington examined his weapons locker, while Communications Specialist Layla Rodriguez activated her station. Science Officer Dr. David Park completed the team, already analyzing data on the Confederation vessel. "Here's what we know," Alina said, gathering them around the central holographic display. "While we slept, the Artemis drifted into Confederation space. They sent a boarding party, thinking we were abandoned." "Typical Confederation arrogance," Washington growled, checking his sidearm. "They always underestimate us." Elena nodded. "That works in our favor. Our stealth systems kept most of our technology hidden until they triggered the security protocols." "What's our plan, Captain?" Rodriguez asked, already working on her communication console. "First, we need to understand the current situation," Elena replied. "It's been 38 years. The political landscape could be completely different." Dr. Park studied the scans of the Confederation ship. Their technology has advanced, but the basic design principles remain the same. They still rely on quantum fusion drives and neural interface systems. "Can we break away if necessary?" Elena asked. Chen nodded confidently. "The Artemis may look outdated to them, but our systems are still decades beyond what Earth had when we left. We can outrun them if needed." "Rodriguez, open a channel to their leadership," Elena ordered. "Let's see how diplomatic they're feeling today." In the Confederation Council chamber, Admiral Vexlor paced nervously. The holographic display showed the human ship now fully powered, revealing weapon systems and energy signatures that had somehow remained hidden during their initial scans. "This is outrageous," he muttered, his skin fluctuating between colors of distress and anger. "That vessel is ancient by all accounts." Director Kekera stood calmly at the display table. "I warned you, Admiral. Our intelligence on humans has always been incomplete." The communication system activated again, showing Captain Reyes on the main screen. "I am Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. We did not enter your territory by choice. Our ship was on a long-term mission when we encountered a spatial anomaly that damaged our navigation systems." Admiral Vexlor straightened, attempting to regain his composure. "I am Admiral Vexlor of the United Galactic Confederation. Your crew has imprisoned our personnel without provocation." Elena's expression remained neutral. "Your boarding party entered our ship without permission. Our automated defense systems responded as programmed. Your people are unharmed and will remain that way if you cooperate. What do you want, human?" Vexlor demanded, tendrils twitching. "Information," Elena replied simply. "We've been in stasis for nearly 4 decades. We need to know the current state of relations between Earth and the Confederation." Vexlor glanced at his advisors, uncertain how to respond. This was not the primitive, pleading human he had expected. Director Kekera stepped forward. "Captain Rice, relations between our peoples remain distant. The Confederation recognizes Earth's sovereignty within its home system, but humans are not members of our alliance." Elena nodded. "And what is the Confederation's policy on independent vessels like ours?" "We require all ships in Confederation space to submit to inspection and registration," Vexlor stated, regaining some confidence. "That won't be happening," Elena said firmly. "The Artemis carries classified technology. No one boards without my permission." The tension in the council chamber rose as officials whispered urgently to each other. "Then you are in violation of our laws," Vexlor declared. "Surrender your vessel or face the consequences." Elena smiled slightly. "I don't think you understand your position, Admiral. Scan our ship again. This time, look closely at our power signature." Vexlor nodded to a technician who ran the scan. As the results appeared on the screen, gasps echoed around the chamber. "Impossible," the technician whispered. "Their power levels are off our measurement scales, and that energy pattern, it matches nothing in our database." "What are you?" Vexlor finally asked. His earlier confidence completely evaporated. A voice spoke from hidden speakers, using the human language that their translators struggled to parse completely. "Unknown presence detected. Security protocols activated. Initiating containment procedures." Before the team could react, reinforced barriers slid into place over the exits, sealing them in the command center. A fine mist began to spray from concealed nozzles in the ceiling. "Defensive countermeasure," shouted their security officer, reaching for his discipler. "Some kind of chemical agent. Harmless sedative," Mori reported as his scanner analyzed the particles. "Non-lethal, but..." One by one, the salvage team collapsed to the deck, consciousness fading despite their advanced physiologies and protective gear. Deep in the heart of the ship, in a chamber the boarding team never discovered, a row of stasis pods lined the walls. In one of them, frost melted away from the viewing port, revealing the face of a human woman. Her eyes snapped open as the pod systems revived her body from years of suspended animation. The ship's computer spoke in a calm, feminine voice. "Captain Rice, emergency revival protocol initiated. Unknown entities have boarded the vessel." The pod opened with a hydraulic hiss. Captain Elena Reyes sat up slowly, her muscles remembering their purpose after years of inactivity. She was in her late 40s, her once black hair now streaked with gray, face marked with the lines of command and difficult decisions. "How many boarders?" she asked, her voice rough from disuse. "6 entities currently contained in the command center," the AI replied. "Biometric analysis indicates Confederation species." Elena nodded grimly. She had expected this day would come, though perhaps not so soon. "Status of the Phoenix Protocol. All systems nominal. Protocol ready for activation upon your command. Wake the others," Elena ordered, reaching for a uniform stored nearby. "Tell them we have company." Across the chamber, 5 more stasis pods began their awakening sequence. The crew of the Artemis was returning to life, and with them, humanity's best-kept secret. Back in the Confederation Council chamber, Admiral Vexlor was growing concerned. The salvage team had not reported in for over an hour. "Life signs are stable," reported a technician, "but they appear to be unconscious." Director Kettera stepped forward again. "Admiral, our sensors are detecting significantly increased power readings from the human vessel. It appears to be awakening." The holographic display updated, showing new data. The once dormant ship now pulsed with energy readings that had not been present before. "Impossible," Vexlor hissed, his skin flashing dark colors of confusion and anger. "Our scans showed minimal power reserves. It appears the vessel has capabilities that were shielded from our sensors," Kettera observed, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly as she analyzed the new data. "I strongly suggest." She was interrupted as the communication system activated, projecting a human face onto the main display. The woman appeared to be of middle age by human standards, wearing a dark uniform with unfamiliar insignia. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force vessel Artemis," she stated in perfect Confederation standard language, surprising everyone present. "Your boarding party is unharmed, but will remain in our custody. Any hostile action against this vessel will be met with immediate response." The chamber erupted in confused murmurs. What they had dismissed as an ancient, harmless relic was now making demands, and somehow had the power to back them up. "We request to speak with your leadership regarding our safe passage," Captain Rice continued, her expression revealing nothing. Admiral Vexlor's tendrils writhed in agitation as he realized his grave miscalculation. The human ship wasn't a derelict after all. The chamber that had been filled with laughter now fell into a silence, heavy with tension and uncertainty. The power revealed. Captain Alina Rice stood in the awakening chamber, watching as her crew recovered from their long sleep. Despite the aches of prolonged stasis, years of military training kept them focused on their tasks. The 6-person crew moved with increasing confidence as their bodies remembered their purpose. "Status report," Alina ordered, her voice stronger now. The ship's AI responded immediately. "Captain, we have been in stasis for approximately 38 Earth years. 6 Confederation entities are contained in the command center. Their technology signatures match our intelligence profiles." Alina nodded. The Confederation. Humanity's greatest concern when they had launched this mission. Back then, Earth had just made contact with alien life, and the news wasn't encouraging. The vast Confederation viewed humans as backward primitives, barely worth acknowledging. "Wake up, people," Alina called to her crew. "Looks like our long sleep is over." "We are humanity's insurance policy," Alina replied. "When Earth first encountered the Confederation, they recognized the threat your civilization posed. While our diplomats talked peace, scientists like us explored alternative options." Dr. Park appeared beside Alina on the screen. "Your scanning technology can't properly analyze our power systems because they operate on principles your science hasn't discovered yet. What looks like an outdated ship to you is actually the prototype for Earth's Phoenix Protocol." This was partially true. The Artemis was indeed a prototype, but when it had left Earth, it had been the only one of its kind. A desperate gamble by a humanity facing a hostile universe. "We don't seek conflict," Alina continued, "but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Now, about your boarding party. What do you propose?" Vexlor asked, though he already knew the answer. "A simple exchange. You detach your vessel from ours and move to a safe distance. We release your people and continue on our way." "And if we refuse?" Vexlor challenged, though without conviction. Alina's expression hardened. "Then we demonstrate why the Phoenix Protocol was considered too dangerous to remain on Earth." The council chamber fell silent as the Confederation leaders faced a decision they never expected to make. Back down to a supposedly primitive species or risk facing technology they couldn't comprehend. Director Ketera finally broke the silence. "Admiral, I suggest we accept their terms. We can always track them once our people are safe." Vexlor nodded slowly, his pride wounded but his survival instinct stronger. "Very well, Captain Reyes. We agree to your terms. Detach from the human vessel," he ordered his crew. As the Confederation ship began to pull away, Alina turned to her crew. "Get ready," she instructed. "The moment their people are off our ship, we need to move. They'll be back with reinforcements." Chen nodded. "Engines are hot, Captain. Just say the word." What had begun as a simple salvage mission had now become a first-class security crisis for the mighty Confederation. The Confederation vessel pulled away from the Artemis, creating a gap that widened slowly in the vacuum of space. On the bridge of the human ship, Alina watched through the main view screen as the alien craft retreated to what they considered a safe distance. "Enemy ship is 500 kilometers away and holding position," Washington reported from the security station. "They're scanning us continuously." Alina nodded. As expected, Rodriguez prepared to release their boarding party. Rodriguez tapped at her console. "Escape pod is ready, Captain. Their 6 crew members are still sedated but will regain consciousness shortly after launch." "Chen, what's our status?" Alina turned to her engineer. Chen looked up from his station, his face grim. "Not ideal, Captain. That spatial anomaly did more damage than we thought. The Phoenix drive is operational, but we can only initiate it once before needing major repairs. Our conventional engines are at 92%. Alina considered this information. One jump would have to be enough. Recommendations for destination. Dr. Park spoke up from the science station. Based on the star charts we've updated from their database, I suggest the TAS CD system. It's outside Confederation space, but close enough to Earth communication beacons. Set the coordinates, Elena ordered. Washington, status of our guests. Launching now, Captain. On the screen, they watched as a small pod ejected from the Artemis, drifting toward the waiting Confederation vessel. They've recovered the pod, Rodriguez reported. Wait, I'm detecting multiple ships entering the sector. Reinforcements, just as you predicted. Elena smiled grimly. Right on schedule. How many? 3 battle cruisers and support vessels, Washington answered, studying his tactical display. They're moving to surround us. The communication system activated again. Admiral Vexlor appeared, his tendrils now arranged in a formal threat posture. Captain Rice, your vessel is surrounded. You will power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. This is not a negotiation. Elena exchanged glances with her crew, then nodded to Rodriguez to open the channel. Admiral, we received your people safely, as promised. I had hoped diplomacy would prevail, but you leave us no choice. We will now demonstrate the Phoenix Protocol. She cut the transmission and turned to Chen. Initiate the sequence. Chen's fingers flew across his console. Phoenix Protocol engaging. All systems aligned. Ready on your mark, Captain. Belina took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. The culmination of decades of secret human research, the reason they had been sent on this one-way mission. Execute Phoenix Protocol, she commanded. At first, nothing seemed to happen. On the Confederation vessels, scanners detected a subtle shift in the human ship's energy pattern, but nothing alarming. Then, slowly, the Artemis began to glow with an inner light that defied conventional analysis. What are they doing? Vexlor demanded, watching the display with growing concern. Unknown, Admiral, his science officer replied. Their energy signature is changing, transforming somehow. On the Artemis, Elena's crew worked with practiced precision, despite having never actually deployed the protocol outside of simulations. Phase 1 complete, Chen reported. Dimensional barrier established. Phase 2 initiating. The glow around the Artemis intensified, becoming almost painful to look at directly. Space itself seemed to bend and flex around the vessel. What is happening? Vexlor whispered, his skin pale with fear. Director Ketera stared at the readings in awe. They're creating a localized pocket of altered spacetime. It's beautiful. Final phase, Chen announced on the Artemis. Preparing for dimensional shift. Elena addressed her crew one last time. Remember, this is what we trained for, what we sacrificed 40 years of our lives for, to show the Confederation that humanity will not be dismissed or controlled. With a final surge of energy, the Artemis seemed to fold in upon itself, compressing into an impossibly small point of brilliant light. And then it was gone. No explosion, no conventional warp signature. Simply absence. The Confederation ships scanned frantically, trying to locate the human vessel that had vanished before their eyes. Seconds later, sensors detected a massive energy surge nearly 2 light-years away, far beyond the range of any known propulsion technology. Impossible, Vexlor breathed. No vessel can travel that distance instantaneously. Director Ketera studied the data with all 4 eyes wide in astonishment. Not through normal space, no. But if they've discovered how to temporarily phase into another dimensional plane, the implications were staggering. The Confederation's technological superiority, the foundation of their galactic dominance for millennia, had just been fundamentally challenged by a species they had dismissed as primitive. 1 month later, a formal diplomatic envoy from Earth arrived at the Confederation capital. The humans came not as supplicants, but as equals, armed with the knowledge that their Phoenix Protocol had changed the balance of power forever. As for the Artemis and her crew, they continued their journey home, having accomplished their mission. ensuring humanity's place among the stars would never again be threatened by the arrogance of those who believed technology was the sole measure of a civilization's worth. In the Grand Council chamber where Admiral Vexlor had once mockingly displayed the primitive human vessel, Director Ketra now stood before the assembled representatives, delivering a report that would reshape Confederation policy for generations to come. "We have greatly underestimated humanity," she concluded. "Their greatest strength is not in their technology, but in their adaptability and determination. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other." And deep in space, aboard the Artemis, Captain Elena Rice looked out at the stars, a smile of satisfaction on her face. Sometimes, the most powerful weapon wasn't a weapon at all, but simply the moment when underestimation gave way to respect.